Hello. All right, so today we're going to do lesson 64. Okay, so in lesson 64, we are working with long division. Your favorite, maybe not, but I like it. So we're first going to go over a quick refresher over how to do long division. Okay, so please remember our little motto for long division. Dead mice smell bad. Division, multiplication, subtraction, and then bring down. So for this first problem, we have 78 divided by 3. First thing we're going to do is divide. So we're going to see how many times does 3 go into 7. 3 goes into 7 2 times. We can check that by moving on to our next step, which is multiplying. We're going to multiply that 3 and that 2, and that makes 6. 6 is lower than 7. And you really can't go any higher. If we did 3 times 3, it would be 9, and that would be above the 7, so that wouldn't be right. And if we did 3 times 1, there would be way too many numbers between our 3 and the 7. So we're going to move on to our next step, which is subtraction. So 7 minus 6 is 1. Now we move on to bring down. We're going to bring down that 8 that's still up on top. That turns our 1 into 18. Now we're going to start the whole process over again. Dead mice smell bad. All right, so we're going to divide. 3 goes into 18 6 times. It goes in perfectly. Okay, and we see that when we move on to the next step. 6 times 3 is 18. So when we subtract, 18 minus 18 is going to be 0. There's nothing else up there for us to bring down, so that means that we are done with our problem, and our answer is 26. But we need to check first, because sometimes things are tricky. So the way that you check a long division problem is just by writing your supposed answer, in this case 26, and multiplying it by your divisor. So in this case 3. So 26 times 3, we do our little math, and we see that it is 78, which was our original number. That means that 26, our answer, is in fact our answer. It is correct. We are good. We are fabulous. It's great. On to a word problem. Number 2. An 87-acre field is divided into 3 equal parts. How many acres is one part of the field? So we have 87 divided into 3 parts. We're going to put our dead mice smell bad, remind us what we're going to do. First step is divide. How many times does that 3 go into 8? Well, 3 goes into 8 2 times, because if we tried to put it in 3 times, well, 3 times 3 is 9, and that's too big, so we can't do that one. But if we do 3 times 2, we see that it is 6, and that is a perfect number. Perfect, beautiful, lovely. Our 6 down there, then we move on to our subtract step. So we're going to subtract 8 minus 6, and we're left with 2. Okay, then we bring down the 7 that's left up there, and we start all over again. Dead mice smell bad. We divide. How many times does 3 go into 27? 3 goes into 27 9 times, and it goes in evenly, perfectly. It's lovely. So when we do our multiplication, 9 times 3, we get 27 again, and minus 27 minus 27 is 0. There's nothing left to bring down up there. We're done. We check our answer again. We do 29 times 3. We got our original problem, 87. So that means that our answer is indeed 29 acres. My computer died again. All right, number 3. Okay, another word problem. So 4 students can sit in each row. There are 38 students. What is a reasonable estimate of the number of rows that will be filled? Reasonable estimate, we know what that means. That means we are rounding. Do you remember a couple of lessons ago back in school when I told you when we're rounding, for example, if we're doing a multiplication problem and we've got a single digit number and then we've got like a little bit of a bigger number, and when we round, we leave that smaller number alone, and we only round the bigger number? Is that ringing any bells? Well, if it does, good, because the same thing happens with division when we're rounding and estimating. So we have 4 and we have 38, and we're going to leave the 4 alone. We're going to leave that bad boy on the side. Okay, so we're going to focus on that 38. We know we are going to be dividing by 4, the littler number. So we need to turn that 38 into something that we can easily divide by 4. So you actually have 2 options here. You can either go to 40, right up to 40, because that goes into 4, obviously. Or you can do 36, which also goes into 4 evenly. 40 divided by 4 is 10. or you could do 36 divided by 4, which is 9. In either case, if you got 10 or 9 rows, those would be correct. And as long as you show your work and how you did it, then that makes it reasonable to me. So this one is more of a trick than really anything else. It's a very specific trick. It only works with 3, but it's still fun and nice to know. If I asked you, which of these numbers can be divided by 3 with no remainder? And I give you the options 56, 64, 45, and 73. Now, if you're really good with your multiples, you're really good with your 3s, you could probably tell me right off the bat, boom, Miss Jenna, I already know what that is, ha ha ha. But if you just want to maybe have a little trick to double check, that's fine, and that's what this is for. So the way that this trick works, and again, this only really works with 3, is you take, for each of those options that I gave you, you take them, and you're going to add each of the digits in that number together. So for example, the 56, you're going to add the 5 and the 6. The 64, you're going to add the 6 and the 4, and so on. Okay, so you add those together and you see what number you get. So for 56, it turns into 11. For 64, it turns into 10. For 45, it turns into 9. And for 73, it turns into 10. Now, of these 4 new numbers, you have to look at them and ask yourself, which one of these numbers is a multiple of 3? Which one could I get to by timesing by 3? Could I do 3 times anything to get to 11? No. Can I do 3 times anything to get to 10? No. But I can get to 9 very easily by doing 3 times 3. So, since 9 is a multiple of 3, that means we could divide 45 by 3 and have no remainder. So you can try that out yourself and see if it works. I'm sure it will though, because when am I ever wrong? Don't answer that. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. Go ahead and get started on 64, I said? Yes, 64. If you have not done the review or corrected investigation 6, if you haven't done that yet, you have until tomorrow before I reach out to you and or your parents to double check and make sure that you know that it's there, number 1, or if number 2, if you need help on it. Okay, so yeah, so go ahead and do those things, and I will see you tomorrow.